As always, let's bring him on, though, our friend Michael Lombardi, host of the GM Shuffle, host of Coach, and you can catch him on VSiN every day as well. Michael, how are we doing today, my friend?
We are doing good. And look, for Jersey, I live on the Jersey Shore. We don't get much snow. So when that was like, whoa. Yeah, when I moved to England, I lived in Cleveland and New England. And I got to tell you, when they say it's going to snow, it snowed. You know, in Jersey, when they say it's going to snow, you got a chance it might not. But when they say it's going to snow in Cleveland or New England, it's snowing. They're not missing that one.
Hey, Michael, your co-host, Dave Ross, I told you we're dear friends. He's from Virginia, so he's in the same boat as me. We panic when we see snow, Michael.
Yeah. We're just hoping Dave's car makes it to work all the time. So it's a good thing.
Hey, Michael, you're the smartest man in the world because you moved back to the Jersey Shore. So, you know, I love that. Let's start in on focusing on, you bring up your time in New England, focusing on the Patriots. And coming off another loss, a 1-point loss against the Colts, they lit up a long drive at the end, a 2-point conversion. So Jerod Mayo was asked about not using timeouts in that situation to help out his defense or buy time for the offense. And his response was, quote, "We won a Super Bowl here doing it the other way." Should Jerod Mayo be comparing his in-game coaching to Bill Belichick's, because he's alluding to that Seahawks comeback and Super Bowl win?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was talking about. I mean, I think Bill's done it 1,000 different ways, and each game is uniquely different, right? I mean, the reason Bill didn't call timeout in Super Bowl 49 was he saw confusion on the other sideline. Did Mayo see confusion on the other sideline? I don't know. I mean, look, if he had one more timeout left on they had a chance. The guy missed a 68-yarder by 3 yards. If he had 10 more yards, he makes it, right? So, look, I think Mayo, every time I listen to Mayo talk, he has an excuse for something. Does he ever have, like, look, I could have done a better job there, or is there ever any accountability? I'm just asking.
No, it's
always somebody else's fault. I mean, to me, at some point, you're the leader of men. You've got to take accountability for it. You know, you got to do a better job. Look, I could do a better job in game management. And I'm not trying to listen to Mayo an excuse on something, and I'm not sure that you can survive as a leader of men who have a bag load of excuses.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Michael. I would add this, and I'm curious your thoughts. It's one thing to say the stuff that he says, because he's put his foot in his mouth a few times this season, okay? So it's a fair question that you ask about accountability, and it seems like he's always pointing the finger. But it's another thing if he sort of stood on business with that, Michael. If he sort of just said what he said and let it be out there. Where I have an issue is he'll put his foot in his mouth and then he'll walk it back, which is almost worse to me, Michael, where it's like the Belichick thing. Remember, he called the team soft a month ago, and guess what? He was right. They were playing soft. I know it's kind of a reflection of a head coach, but then he walks his stuff back, Michael. That's where I got the issue.
I think you could see his inexperience. I mean, it just shows, it rears its ugly head all the time. I mean, you know, and I know Robert Kraft picked him out to be the head coach 7 years ago, but the guy lacks experience to be a leader of a team. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying he can't get it, but I think you would be naive to believe there weren't going to be growing pains with Mayo as the coach. He never called defenses. He never really ran a team meeting. He never took over anything. So this is all learning for him. And now that he doesn't really take accountability for anything, are you really learning anything? And then I think ultimately when he starts to talk, he's trying to make everybody happy when in reality, no one's happy.
And when you say that, and I agree, there has to be a learning curve expected. And I've asked you, like, all we want to see from this team is consistency and progress, and we feel like we're still not seeing that. What concerns you the most? And if you were in the front office for the Patriots, when you're watching Jerod Mayo game to game, what would you look at and go, you know what, that's what we can hang our hats on of he's the head coach that can continue to be one and stick with his team?
Well, I think I would be more concerned about defensively, how they just haven't improved defensively in situational football. They're 23rd in the red zone offense, 23rd in red zone defense, 30th in red zone offense. I mean, when you break the team down situationally, they allow too many things. I mean, look, his use of timeouts, his use of kicking field, I think his whole game strategy, I think this is an on-the-job training. Look, the NFL, becoming a head coach, it's a harder job to get to the United States Senator. There's only 32 of them. Mm-hmm. And when you get there, it's really hard to be full. If you have 20 years coaching the league and you become a head coach, you're really probably not ready to be a head coach. But you've got enough experience. Whereas if you only coach in the league 5 years like Mayo, but are you really ready to be a head coach? So, like, we can criticize them all we want. But I think the Kraft family had to understand when they hired him that there was going to be a huge learning learning. Like, you just don't, just because you played football in the National Football League doesn't mean you can coach and organize and lead a billion-dollar industry. It's really hard. What about player development? What players are getting better? Is he demanding from the coaches? Are we getting player development done? The young players improving. I mean, this is a huge job, and you're walking into a guy. I know that, Bill was probably absent the last 20 years, and that's why they won 6 Super Bowls. But you're replacing a coach who's the winningest coach of all time in 6 Super Bowls. It's not an easy job to walk into, but I think what it shows you is I don't think they believed what Bill was doing was very difficult. They thought anybody could do it.
Man, you just named a bunch of stuff that needs to be worked on there between the defense and the clock management. We can't get all that fixed in a bye week, but Michael, let's get down to the brass tacks. As a coaching staff, what can the Patriots attack during the bye week to improve on? Because Lord knows it's a laundry list of things you just ran through, but what practically can they get done in a bye week and improve on, you think?
Well, look, they're 3-10. They're not going to the playoffs. We know that. So they got 4 games left. They come back. They play 2 games on the road. I think if I were Mayo, I would want to try to improve in certain areas of the team, and I would put that as the priority. And I would want to play better, and I would want to get some of these young players the opportunity to play. I mean, they've got to get better on pass defense. They're horrible. They can't intercept the ball. They're 25th in the league in creating interceptions. They're 24th in the league in yards per attempt allowed. And then offensively, I want to keep developing the rookie quarterback, and we've got to get some of these young receivers to start making plays. They can't throw the ball down the field. They're 31st in yards per attempt passing. They're 32nd in yards, period. So we got to try to improve certain areas. You're not going to improve the whole team, but we're going to have to get certain players. We need to figure out who's somebody that we can win a Super Bowl with and who should be on this team and who's not. And I think you got to. Now, look, the players are off all weekend. So you're not going to get better. They're going to come back on Monday. You're going to start. But a lot of this time is preparing the coaches for how we're going to get better. My sense of it is I'm sure the Patriots coaches probably have a lot of time off this week.
If the Patriots, you mentioned that 4-game stretch they have left, and it's tough. Cardinals are a good team. Chargers are a good team. They're facing the Bills twice. If the Patriots lose out, do you think there will be changes made on this coaching staff for New England?
No, well, I mean, on the coaching staff, I don't think Mayo will lose his job because Kraft's too vested into it. I think there's no objectivity when it comes to that, especially when you've gone out on the limb saying you identified him as the guy to replace Belichick. Mm-hmm. So do I think there'll be changes in the staff? I'm sure there will be. Somebody's going to, if they end up 3-14, there's going to be some changes. And there's a good chance they're going to end up 3-4. Buffalo decides they don't want to play the last game of the year because Kansas City has home field of advantage. So you may end up stealing a win just because of circumstance, not because you're the better team. They're not going to beat Buffalo straight up in 2 games. We know that. Could they beat Arizona? Perhaps. Could they beat the Chargers? I don't think so. So I think, to me, you got to face the reality, and then you got to solve. Look, the number one job for any general manager, for any owner, is to figure out why your team wins and why your team loses, right? And then you got to make decisions in the offseason to correct those things. I think that's really important. And so, I think that who's going to make that decision? I don't know if Mayo can do it. Can Elliott Wolf do it? We'll see.
Michael, I want to pause and rewind to something you said. You said your gut is the coaches will have some time off here. When Bill was here, Bill doesn't give a damn about a brand, but I would say Bill Belichick's brand is no days off, right? I mean, he made that a thing. Talk to me about why you believe the coaches will be off. Is that just a change in culture that you've seen here?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. They want everybody not to, because with Bill, they want to do the opposite of what Bill did. When we were there, we had a bye week, we would probably work till Thursday afternoon, and then we would be back Sunday at 12. We would work till Thursday at 3, have Friday and Saturday off, and then come back at 12. And then Monday through Thursday, we would do a lot of self-scouting. We'd have meetings. We'd work late at night, to make sure that we understood what's going on with the team. But I think, to me, that's something that went out the window when the bicycles came into the locker room.
Yeah, and Jerod Mayo, he recently had an exclusive one-on-one interview with Tommy Curran, and he revealed that after every single game, he has a debrief with the Krafts, after every single one, win or loss. Is that something the Krafts did with Bill Belichick while he was the head coach of New England?
I don't know that. I wasn't privy to those meetings, so I wouldn't know. But I'm sure they probably had conversations. I'm sure this is a lot different than the one they would have with Bill. I think, to me, when you're dealing with a coach who's had so much success, I'm sure Robert probably came down to his office and had conversations, but I don't I don't know what happened after the games or whether it was on telephone or not, but look, they've got a lot at stake at the investment that they put in Mayo. I think they do. Let's face it. They're counting on him to be the guy. They've got their reputations all at line here.
Michael, you front office guys can make shrewd moves. You can make moves that benefit the team. You can pick up the phone. You can wheel and deal. Is there a world in which it is possible where Robert Kraft can say, look, I love you, Gerard. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off here. I did make a mistake. You were not ready to be a head coach. However, because I love you, because I believe you're a leader, because I know you're valuable to my franchise, is there a way he could get a front office cushy desk job? Is there a way, in other words, Michael, Robert Kraft can move off of Gerard Mayo but still involve him in the franchise in some shape or form? Or is this as plain and as simple and as black and white as fire him or not?
Well, I think that's probably right. I mean, it's hard Mayo's still a young coach. I think he sees himself as a head coach and he wants to grow. And I think Mayo would say to Robert, you didn't give me enough time. I mean, you hired me as an inexperienced coach and now you're going to fire me after a year. It's my fault I'm inexperienced. You knew that going in. It's like bringing home a puppy. They're going to wet on the carpet. Of course, you got a puppy. It's going to make mistakes. So you're going to have to live with it.
When we look through, you talk about the possibility, and I agree with you, I don't think there'll be a vacancy with the Patriots just because Robert Kraft continues to attach himself to Gerard Mayo. But the Bears, that has to be the best head coaching vacancy in the NFL right now. Who do you think would be the right head coach for Chicago to hire?
I'm not sure it's the right one. Did you listen to Caleb Williams' comments after the Detroit game, where he said that if I was in the league longer, I probably would have called timeout. I probably would have checked the ball down, but I'm a young player and I wanted to win the game. I mean, that's the most self-serving thing I've ever heard in my life. You want to coach that, George? You want to coach that guy? Good luck to you. I know he's talented, but you still have to deal with him on a daily basis. God bless you if you can. I think, to me, the whole structure of the Bears, why haven't they won? Last they've been to the Super Bowl is 2006. They've had 2 wild card appearances in the last 10 years. There's a reason. And now Kevin Warren today that he had no interest in even talking to Jim Harbaugh when he was available last year. So you've got a lot of people in that building that are trying to run the team. And I don't think that works too well. I think the more people you have, the worse it becomes, i.e. New England. Look, that's one thing we do know. If you ever go to Washington, I don't think you're going to find a statue dedicated to a committee. That this just doesn't work. You need a supreme commander, and I think in Chicago they don't have that. It's going to be hard. Anybody takes that job, you're dealing with Ryan Poles as the general manager who built the team from the inside out, not from the outside in, not inside out. They can't block anybody. Why do you think they get field goals blocked? Because they don't have any physicality to their offensive line.
Yeah, great point there. Hey, Michael, as always, appreciate you joining the show. He's Michael Lombardi. Catch him on GM Shuffle.
Thanks, guys.
On Coach Bill Belichick and VSiN every day of the week. Michael, have a good one, my friend. Enjoy the snow.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Talk soon.